cheap gaming laptops that promise high frame rates and flashy RGB often end up feeling like a letdown the minute you try to run a modern title for more than an hour. You get a thin chassis, a low-end GPU, and a battery that barely survives a coffee break. The regret kicks in when you realize you've paid for the look but not the performance you need for serious play. So the question on everyone's mind is, does the ASUS ROG Strix G16 actually feel like a smarter buy? Or is it just another pretty-looking slab that will disappoint when you push it? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a few evenings setting this machine up, ran a couple of recent releases, and also used it for the kind of multitasking that most of us do: video calls, photo editing, a bit of coding, so I can speak to how it behaves in the real world, not just on a spec sheet. First off, the size of the screen matters. The 16-inch display sits in a sweet spot between portability and immersion. At 1920x1200, you get a bit more vertical real estate than a standard 1080p panel, which is handy for split-screen workflows. The 165Hz refresh rate is genuinely noticeable in fast shooters. You'll see smoother mouse movement and less motion blur compared to the 60Hz laptops that dominate the budget space. In my testing with Cyberpunk 2077 on medium settings, the frame count stayed comfortably above 70 frames per second, and the colors stayed within the advertised 100% sRGB range, which means you won't be fighting washed-out visuals while you're trying to spot an enemy. Now, the part that usually trips people up with high-performance laptops is heat. ASUS touts its ROG intelligent cooling system, and it does more than just spin a fan louder. The dual-fan setup with vapor chamber technology actually keeps the CPU and GPU temps in a reasonable band during long sessions. I ran a 10-minute stress test on Elden Ring and the CPU hovered around 85°C while the GPU peaked at 78°C. The fans kicked up a noticeable whine, but it never drowned out my headset audio, and the laptop didn't throttle. For a device that packs a 16-core i7 and an RTX 5060, that's respectable. If you plan to game in a cramped apartment with the vents partially blocked, you'll still want to keep a small desk fan nearby, but you won't be forced to shut down mid-run. Storage and memory are where the Strix G16 starts to feel more premium. A 2TB NVMe SSD means you can install several large games without worrying about space, and the drive loads worlds in a snap. Levels in Assassin's Creed Valhalla appeared almost instantly. The 32GB of DDR5 RAM is overkill for most gamers, but it shines when you're juggling a game, a streaming encoder, and a web browser full of tabs. I was able to stream Fortnite at 1080p, keep Discord open, and still have Photoshop running without a hiccup. That level of multitasking is something you rarely see on laptops that sit under the $2,000 mark. On the flip side, the battery life is a classic compromise. With the 165Hz screen and the RTX 5060 drawing power, you'll get roughly 3 to 4 hours of mixed use before you need to plug back in. That's fine if you treat the machine as a desktop replacement in your home office, but if you're looking for a laptop that can last a full day of classes or a commute, you'll be disappointed. The quick charge support helps. 30 minutes gets you enough juice for another short session, but it's not a solution for a full day away from an outlet. Port selection is another practical point. The laptop includes a Thunderbolt 4 port, which is great for docking stations or external GPUs if you ever feel the need for a performance bump. Wi-Fi 7 promises lower latency and higher throughput, something you'll notice if you have a compatible router and are playing fast-paced shooters. The presence of Windows 11 Pro also adds a layer of business-grade management tools, which is handy if you're a creator who needs BitLocker or remote desktop features. For pure gamers, the Pro license isn't a game changer, but it doesn't hurt either. Who should consider buying this machine? If you're a serious enthusiast who wants a single device that can handle AAA titles at high settings, stream, and still run productivity apps without lag, the Strix G16 hits the sweet spot. It's also a solid choice for students in design or engineering programs who need that extra RAM and storage for CAD files, render jobs, or large datasets, while still being able to unwind with a game after class. The aesthetic subtle RGB and a matte finish won't scream gamer in a coffee shop, which is a plus if you care about a more professional look. Who should skip it? If you're on a tight budget and can live with 1080p 60Hz, a cheaper laptop with a less demanding GPU will save you a few $100s. Also, if you travel constantly and need a battery that can survive long flights, a lighter Ultrabook or a